The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, has received an HD remaster for the Wii U in 2013, and fans are asking for Nintendo to bring it over to the Switch. But do I actually agree with this? Do I think there would be any benefits to this at all? Stay tuned to the end of the video as I explain exactly if it's needed or not. So, let's get right into it. The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, was first released for the GameCube in 2003, and it was the next main entry in the series to have come out after Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and it went with a more cartoonish cel-shading design. It was different, but it retains the same gameplay mechanics that the previous 3D Zelda games had. Later, in 2013, 10 years after the GameCube release, Nintendo released Wind Waker HD, a remastered version of Wind Waker that the Zelda team had worked on during development of Breath of the Wild. When the staff saw how well certain elements translated to HD, then that's when the idea of releasing an HD version of Wind Waker came to be, both for that reason and, well, to have a Zelda game for the Wii U to kinda hold out before Breath of the Wild actually came out, as that game still had a long ways to go in development. Of course, it's been a while since the Wii U had been out on the market, and now Nintendo and most gamers have moved on to the Switch. And with the Wii U being a bit of a commercial failure, and Nintendo bringing over a number of Wii U titles, well, this leaves a lot of people hoping and asking for Nintendo to bring over Wind Waker HD. And there's also been rumors that it would show up in Nintendo Directs, only for it to not happen. But here is where I gotta ask this question. Is it actually worth it for Nintendo to bring over Wind Waker to the Switch? Is it really that huge of a deal? And what would the benefit be for Nintendo or the game itself? Well, I can think of a few reasons in which it would be beneficial, but then also a few reasons in which it may not even be needed. I'll start with where it would be beneficial, and that begins with the game's reception. Back when Wind Waker was first released for the GameCube, the reception for it has kind of been mixed, to say the very least. A lot of it is because the game was criticized for its cel-shaded art style, and well, when you look at it in the perspective of when it was released at the time, it was pretty understandable. This was, after all, the next big main entry Zelda title to come out after Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, both of which had a sort of more realistic tone that one would come to expect out of a franchise of its lore. Not only that, but when the GameCube was first released, there was a tech showcase showing off the graphical capabilities, and there was a clip of Link fighting Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time, which sounded like a hint of what the GameCube Zelda game would look like. So, when the next major entry that came out for the GameCube ended up being, well, this, yeah, it's pretty understandable that the reception for it would be kinda disappointing. But now, as more games have come out, and the Zelda franchise has experimented with different art styles, people have grown more accepting of Wind Waker's cel-shaded style, and that leaves an audience of people who are willing to give a game like Wind Waker a chance. But they may not own any of the consoles that Wind Waker was on, or, well, they may have owned a GameCube at the time, but decided to pass on Wind Waker because they were turned off by its cel-shaded cartoonish style. Which leads to my second other big point, where Wind Waker has previously been released on. Wind Waker has been released on two different consoles. First was the GameCube in 2003, and sure, it sold okay for the GameCube, which was about 4.6 million copies that was sold worldwide, but it was still less than the number that Ocarina of Time sold, which is about 7.6 million. But a lot of it might also be due to the GameCube not exactly being a huge success, as it sold a whopping 21 million consoles worldwide, and it has been Nintendo's second lowest selling home console of all time. Their first lowest selling, the Wii U, which, well, hey, how about that, is the other console that Wind Waker was released on. Wind Waker was on two of Nintendo's rather lowest selling home consoles of all time. And well, that's the other big thing that a Switch port might benefit from, is that console has actually sold really well, and still has a big install base. So a Wind Waker port for the Switch could be good for bringing Wind Waker to a bigger audience than it ever did on any other console that it was ever released on. Those are where I feel the benefits might be. But with that being said, does that actually make the game necessary to bring over? I mean, at some point, sure. But as of right now, I really don't think so. The Switch already has a decent number of Zelda games. Not only does it have Breath of the Wild, but it also has the Link's Awakening game, the remake of the old Game Boy title, and the HD remaster of Skyward Sword. Plus, there's several Zelda games that's available on the Switch Online service, such as A Link to the Past, as well as Ocarina of Time, which is available as part of the expansion pass. I feel like the Switch already has enough Zelda games as it is as of right now. Plus, on top of that too, the sequel to Breath of the Wild, which is Tears of the Kingdom, comes out in May 2023. That's pretty soon. So, in other words, there's a lot of Zelda to look forward to, and already a lot of Zelda games you can already play for the Switch. Bringing over Wind Waker to the Switch, at least as of right now, at this moment, just isn't needed. Wind Waker was brought over to the Wii U at the right time because there wasn't any major Zelda game that was coming out for that console. Breath of the Wild wouldn't have been out for another 4 years, so Wind Waker was brought over to the console to at least give something to entice Wii U owners, and also bring a little something to their already suffering console. If they brought it over to the Switch right now, it would kind of feel like at that point that they would be sort of milking their Zelda games. Not that it doesn't already feel that way right now, but it would kind of just make it way too blatant that it would just feel kind of gross. I would say a good time to bring over Wind Waker to the Switch is if there's a bit of a lull in Zelda games, where the next big Zelda game that comes out after Tears of the Kingdom is in early development, and that there isn't much in terms of Zelda content, not even a more classic-style Zelda game in the style of that Link's Awakening remake, then I would say, yeah, sure, bring over Wind Waker for the Switch. But right now, I don't think it needs to happen. A Switch port of Wind Waker would be good when people have had their fill on Tears of the Kingdom, and is ready for more Zelda. And as I said earlier, Wind Waker is a great game that hasn't had enough of an audience due to a combination of its mixed reception of its art style and being released on consoles that haven't exactly sold like hotcakes. But also the timing of re-releasing the game would need to be just right if they actually wanted to do well, as they also gotta bring in a whole new set of Wind Waker fans, and not just the already pre-established fans who is willing to play the game again for the Switch. I, for one, am not in any rush. As a matter of fact, I'm already sort of getting that Switch experience right now, as I've been playing my Wii U copy of Wind Waker on the Steam Deck. The fact that this game runs as well as it does through a Wii U emulator is actually very impressive. But that's just my experience, and also my opinion. But what do you guys think? Would you play Wind Waker on the Switch? Do you think it should happen right now, or do you think that Nintendo should hold off on it? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and also, if you enjoy this video, then give this video a like and subscribe to this channel, because I have other content coming up, including some video game reviews. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one!